Hi, my name is Terra Davis. I'm the Chief Diversity and Talent Development Officer for Knobbe Martens, an IP firm based in Irvine, California. And I am focused on the firm's strategic efforts surrounding its DEI and its talent development pertaining to professional development of the associates, attorneys, and staff.
And I am Carman Akins. I'm the Director of Practice Marketing at DLA Piper, and I oversee all of practice marketing for our U.S. offices. In that role, I have two goals: enhance brand and grow top-line revenue.
Hi, I'm EJ Stern. I'm co-founder and principal of Fractional Law Firm CMO. We work with firms large and small on their legal marketing strategy, and we really work with lawyers, helping them realize their full potential. We also help law firms increase their and generate greater revenue. And we love having the opportunity to work with and talk to wonderful people like you guys. We're thrilled to be here today.
Thank you so much for having us.
Yeah. So let's start off with the name of your panel. Tell me more about leveraging the power of the pack for client training. That's awesome.
Thanks, EJ. So when we talked about wanting to have a conversation around collaboration and strength building, we really started to think about animals and how they operate and function in packs and how they leverage and pull on each other's strengths to really hunt and successfully kill what they need to kill. And so essentially we looked at, when we're building out a client team, how are we able to pull each other's strengths and also not necessarily focus on our weaknesses and with that respect, but really showcase what we bring to the table and include the client in that conversation along the way.
Thanks, Terra. I think that is the core piece, right? The client is at the center of our pack, and we're out in front issue spotting for them. We're protecting them on the flanks. We're bringing up the rear. I think the core of our piece about client teaming was that we want to create a culture, and we want legal marketers to influence a culture of sharing and not greed. And I know sometimes that's difficult to do at firms because compensation structures and origination credits, yes, right, sometimes don't always lend themselves to collaboration. But the truth is there are staggering statistics on client account programs, and we shared some of these in our presentation. But firms with dedicated and sophisticated key client account programs can realize 26% more revenue out of those clients just by organizing around the needs of the client, offering holistic solutions, creating a brain trust of information so that they can pitch and cross-sell more effectively. It's just a really smart way to share the limited resources that we have and help, again, grow top-line revenue.
Absolutely. Client retention is so critical and really at the core of law firms. So tell me more about, how do you select clients for a key client account?
That's a really good point. And I want to make this point because I realize that there are marketers, from solo marketers at small firms all the way up to global mega firms represented at the conference today. So we talk about a key client account program, but even if you don't have a formal key client account program, client teaming is always happening organically, right? You have clients that you serve, and there's a group of lawyers that serve them. What we're really talking about is formalizing and being intentional about the way that we serve clients and we protect their needs and interests. And that could happen in a key client account program, but it could also happen more organically, maybe at a smaller firm, just in that office or that practice or that industry. So that being said, there's a number of selection pieces. I'll speak to a couple and pass to Terra. Revenue and profitability are my biggest drivers, right?
Definitely.
And when I talk about revenue and profitability, there's an opportunity for marketers to lean in and really understand the business of their law firms. And this is critically important. Sometimes the biggest and sexiest brands are not the most profitable clients. And in fact, I'd wager to say that many people watching this know or are aware of clients where their firms lose money. And listen, if you do work for a client that's not highly profitable strategically as a goal because you're chasing some new area of law, or you have an opportunity to influence policy, or it otherwise aligns with the strategic business of your firm, by all means. But by and large, we're for-profit entities, and we want to get the most profit out of a client. So marketers can add value by learning not just what are my gross billings or collections, But what is the net margin? What does it cost us to serve that client? In what markets? Who's on the account? What does the overhead look like? And if words like, net margin don't sound familiar to you, I encourage everybody watching this to buddy up with someone in pricing, right? To use ChatGPT to make you smarter and understand law firm profitability. That is where you can add value, because you can go in and have very real conversations with lawyers about the clients you should focus on because of that profitability. Another thing to look at is how it aligns with the strategic vision of your firm. Does representing this client, is it controversial? Does it detract from what you say is important?
Right.
Okay. What does it mean to your overall brand? What is the work that's going on? So that's another thing to look at. I'm going to pass to Terra because she talked about some great things like shared values.
Definitely. So when you're looking at what clients you start to build a client team on, you start to figure out what ways can you align with that client's shared values. And essentially you're looking at their website, you're looking at what they say are their core values, because they all have them written out somewhere, plain as day for everyone to read through, and all operating under that business function of saying this is what we are trying to focus our attention on now. And diversity, equity, and inclusion is one of those shared values in which we can really continue to add value to that client, because they might not necessarily have the DEI resources in place to help move the needle in the legal industry. It's a large industry. And one of the things that we're finding is all of us are struggling in DEI, but we can work together and collaborate and partner in a meaningful way. And using those core values as our foundation for that is just one way to do it.
There's so much value that can be driven based on what you both have shared. I feel like you could give a master class on client teams and sort of the core important factors that we should consider. And those are just a few. You mentioned, Carman, about using AI. So I'd love to hear sort of how are you using ChatGPT and other artificial intelligence to support client team efforts?
All right. So I'll admit we're all learning the new technology, right? So I can't say that I'm using AI in a way that's most sophisticated, but it's certainly going to evolve and iterate. What I will say is what we're missing today is the GC and co-presenter who spoke with us today, LaToya Pierce-Frank. And what she said is pay attention to what is important to me. There's a number of ways that our client tells you, from listing the core values on the website to picking up the phone to listen to them. And then there's the reading the tea leaves that I talk about. And AI is a wonderful predictor, if not perfect. So if you want to know what challenges or issues or threats that your client is facing, pull up ChatGPT and say, run a quick SWOT analysis for me on this company. Return the answer in 4 paragraphs to each cover: strength, weakness, opportunity, threat, or whatever it is you want to know. That's an excellent way to prep for a meeting. Then you can go back and work with your competitive intelligence team to qualify that. Oh, by the way, I learned ChatGPT will cite sources. So if you want to make sure that
no kidding
that an AI is not just spouting
nonsense,
rubbish, you might say, bring up the statistics on this, tell me about this, and then cite your sources. It's a
That's
really
amazing.
quick way to get ready for a client team meeting. And when we're all trying to do more with less, including time, it's a really great lever to pull and leverage. And then, oh, by the way, I don't trust anything. Not even, I count my money when it comes out of the ATM. So there is a piece of this that says, go back and qualify.
Right. I think that's smart.
And I don't think we should be replacing our competitive intelligence teams, but I do think ChatGPT can bring us up to speed quickly about the things that our clients care about. They can scour a website faster than us.
Absolutely.
They can even give people profiles.
I think it's great. And I think it's a good starting point. It's not the ending point. It's just sort of things that we should be considering and thinking about as we dig further into that client relationship.
Absolutely.
Terra, I'd love to hear from you. How should client teams and law firms be using their DEI department and resources?
There are so many ways, and I get asked this question all the time. I actually got asked this question an hour before our presentation started. And
Ooh.
I think that people in business development, and I'm guilty of this as well because I was formerly a business development manager and I was working closely with the practices, and I was 100% focused on other areas that had nothing to do with DEI because I did not know how to use my DEI team wisely. Your DEI team, more often than not, they're usually a former partner at a firm or still an existing partner at a firm. So they understand what it is like to be a lawyer, and they understand from a diversity perspective what it is that the general counsel and in-house counsel are looking for. So you can use them and ask them questions about what are the trends that we're seeing in DEI? What types of questions are you receiving in your surveys that you're getting from clients, especially the third party organizations that are focused on diversity, like Diversity Lab. They have a Move the Needle Diversity Dividends tool where they use a scorecard to assess how well law firms are doing.
Wow.
And they're combing through the fluff, and they're combing through some of the data that, as a marketer, I might have tried to tweak to be more favorable, if I'm completely honest. And really, at the end of the day, clients are looking to see if the attorneys are getting meaningful work. And they're also trying to see, what diversity related CLEs do I need? So getting in front of your diversity team at the onset, before you really start to fully engage with your client on client feedback, to ask them those questions. Like, what things are you hearing in meetings? What types of questions are they coming to you and asking? What things are most important to them? And is there some research you can do on your end? And are there other ways that we could collaborate, maybe on a program or an initiative? That is all very helpful. It's not just one person or two people at the firm and their sole role is to carry on all the diversity efforts and impart the culture and the alignment of values. It's really on everyone.
That's great. Thank you for sharing. I know that we use data and analytics in our role as business developers, and I'm sure you do with your client teams as well. I'd love to hear both sort of the client team in general sense, and then from the DEI side, what data are you looking at to ensure that you're meeting the expectations of your clients?
That's a really good question. And I use data to confirm, to tell a story, to make a case. As it relates to client teams, once you've selected a client team, you're already saying, these are the clients that we think we can grow the revenue, we can grow account, we can cross-sell, we can build relationships, we have natural synergies in the products and the services that they need and what we offer. We're located in their key jurisdictions. This client is primed for growth. But let's confirm that. And what do I mean by that? I use web data analytics to find out. We have most law firms now, you can track IP addresses and find out what clients are visiting your site and what are they spending time on. If your lawyers are producing thought leadership that your key clients aren't reading, you need a new thought leadership strategy. Or you at least need to make sure that they're on the appropriate mailing list, right? Is what you say is important? Does your data confirm that? Are they engaging with you? Are they opening your mail? Are they coming to your events? What are they saying is important? And you can tell a story that way. And I want to say that data for the sake of data is worthless, but it's really up to us to analyze the trend, right? Even if it's social media engagement, what does that look like if you chart that over there? What are the natural ebbs and flows? What's performing better? What are people clicking on? What do people want to hear? And then you can bring that back and say, hey, it looks like client X, a large technology company, is really interested in what we're writing about data privacy right now. We should be developing more around that. We should be picking up the phone, calling and saying, hey, listen, is there anything we can offer you? Programming, training, can we come to your legal summit? Maybe they're interested in mental health and the legal profession, right? So there's data qualifying, but the best data is always going to be the qualitative data where you pick up the phone and talk to the client. And I will reiterate over and over again that the core of a client team program is regular touch points with your client. So you asked about data and CI, and I'll close by saying this: the voice of your client is the best competitive intelligence. And sometimes we want to hide behind fancy tools and databases. But the truth of the matter is, we should be picking up the phone, talking to our clients and asking them, what's on your agenda? What are you trying to accomplish in the next 3 months? What's worrying you? And the more lawyers build trust and transparency and have genuine conversations with their clients, the much more candid lawyers are willing to open up. In-house lawyers will be and talk about those things.
Totally agree. It's all about those authentic relationships, building that trust. And really, as I talk about it with my clients, it's sort of becoming that trusted business advisor, being there to sort of understand their motivations, their challenges, and what keeps them up at night, and then to sort of be that problem solver.
So from a diversity perspective, I'm really leaning on the business development and marketing team to look at the wins and losses, because essentially what I'm doing is I am trying to see where the teams were most diverse, how much work are we generating? And if the teams were not diverse, where are we seeing disengagement happening slowly but surely? One of the things that I don't think many people know is that the way in which clients disengage is through an e-billing system. They're looking at the e-billing system and they're saying, please send us the diversity data for each person that works with us. So no longer can a relationship partner, no longer can a relationship partner say, all right, EJ and Carman work on my matters, because the client is proactively going through the e-billing portal and saying, no, they actually don't. And if they do, it's a very low percentage of number and hours that they're doing for this. And so what I am doing is saying, this is how well we do when our teams are as diverse as they possibly can be. And this is why we're leaving money on the table, because they aren't as diverse as they could be.
That's so important. And so often we see, oh, we're going to put these diverse people in the pitch and put the pitch out so that we look like we're really offering diverse services. But, put your money where your mouth is. And, we can see that when we have people actually billing the work and engaging in the relationship. That is fascinating.
There's no more hiding. There's no more fudging the data.
That's right. I'd love to hear a little bit about client feedback and sort of what role do you play in soliciting client feedback, if any?
So that is a topic that came up in our session. And, I asked for a quick show of hands to see who has a formal client feedback program. And I was heartened to see that many people in the room did. But it typically takes place as an annual interview by the heavy hitters on the firm. And that is a great way to say, you're important to me as a client. You're so important. We flew our chairperson or CEO or whomever out to talk to you. Or it's a really well thought out survey that we can track and measure against time over time. But when our GC who presented with us said she really prefers is for people to just pick up the phone and ask how things went at the end of the matter, because you can course correct. So if a mistake happens in March, that client is going to disengage if you wait until December to figure out what the problem is. Now, this is a place that you can leverage your marketers. You can either send them in through DEI programming you can send them in through client feedback, informal surveys. But what plays the best and where we can truly coach and guide our lawyers is reminding them that we need to address any issues in the moment and any opportunities, because sometimes calling to say, how did things go? It may result in finding out something didn't work so well. And we shouldn't hide from that. But sometimes things went extremely well. And it's, but, and let me tell you something that blows my mind that LaToya shared with us. She had a conversation with one such law firm, and she said, hey, I'm putting together a legal summit and I need some help. And can you help me present a CLE and get it accredited in these 3 states? And the relationship partner said, we can't do that. What law firm can't create CLE programming and get it accredited, right? It's those little misses. And what could have been a great opportunity at a touch point of client, because you're on the phone talking, was a miss. But had it been one of our lawyers, right? Had it been a DLA Piper lawyer, certainly they would have leaned in and said, yes, we can do that for you. So having those proactive client touch points and outreach, a formal program is great. And I'm not suggesting we get rid of them at the end of the year. But what clients are telling us is we want to hear from you in the moment that you care, that you're serving us in the right way. And we want to give you honest feedback. And we're not going to ding you or fire you because one mistake was made. But it's the lack of communication and transparency that's going to lead to that disengagement that Terra talked about.
Absolutely. It's so much easier just to sort of move on to the next client if it was never asked and addressed. So just to wrap things up, I'd love to hear from you guys. Do you have any parting advice for legal marketers?
Bring your DEI team in as early as you possibly can. It might seem counterintuitive to do that, but it's so necessary. When we talked about client feedback, surprisingly, the DEI team is actually brought in, especially through third-party organizations, to participate in client feedback through diversity efforts. So they're able to talk about clients very openly, what isn't working, what is working. And more often than not, they're asking questions because they don't understand the law firm as a business. They're like, what does origination credit look like for your firm? What does succession planning look like at your firm? And if you are able to involve your DEI team at the onset, you're able to gather some more feedback from your clients that you don't necessarily get or are thinking to get through those feedback questions that are asked in mid-year or after the end of a matter is closed or something like that. So engage with them early and often.
Thanks, Terra. I think that's really great advice. My parting shot as it relates to client teaming is that all this is a tool for building relationships. And having a client team just orients us around the needs and priorities of a client that may not look exactly like our internal structure. We go to market by practice. We go to market by our sector. We go to market by an office. What we should really be thinking in is service lines and solutions for a client. So keeping that voice of the client center. And whether you're making headway at your firm, every person who has a sophisticated key client program has gone through iterations to get there. So if you're a legal marketer just starting out and your firm is just having a conversation, it can grow and reiterate. Keep the client first. Understand that what you're really doing is helping facilitate the organic growth of relationships, and you won't fail, even if you have to make changes. I'm going to borrow from our opening keynote that failure is not final, it's fulcrum. And mistakes will be made anytime you try to make changes at your firm. You learn from them and keep going. And the firms that are doing this well have done that.
Great feedback. Thank you both, Carman and Terra. This was really a treat today.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.